Some doctors have ruled that menstrual cramps are as painful as heart attacks. I told my wife about this and she just laughed. And I'm always telling her that her pain tolerance is just out of this world. It's unreal. And I think this is a lot of the reason why women, when they're experiencing pain and they're explaining it to their doctors, it's really hard for them to be taken seriously. Because if I was experiencing like a 10 on my pain scale, it'd be like a 3 for her. When she was in a car accident, she went to the doctors and they're like, yeah, you seem okay. They sent her home. She broke her neck and back in 3 places. I've seen her give birth to a 9.5-pound baby with no pain medications. And I'm always saying at the doctors, they have those pain management scales. It's like the happy face to like the really sad, angry, hurt face. And it's all so relative. And if my wife goes to the doctor and they're like, how much pain are you in? And she's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5. For me, that'd be like, I'm dying. Get me an ambulance. Don't bother with the hospital. Just take me straight to the morgue. I'm not gonna make it. What I'm experiencing is a pain worse than death. Just put me down already. I really think this affects the way medicine works. You could have a man and a woman both going in to the hospital for the exact same thing, and they're gonna take the man seriously. Because he's in there like, oh, this is the worst pain I've ever felt. It's terrible. And the woman goes in there and she's like, this hurts pretty bad. It feels really uncomfortable. And the male doctor might not understand that this man that just came in has never experienced anything even close to the pain of being a woman.
My mom didn't get pregnant for the first time until she was 37. That's when she had my sister. She was 39 when she had me, and she had my brother when she was 41. She had no issues getting pregnant, no issues with her pregnancies. So for any woman stressed about timeline, marriage, kids, like, it is okay to start later. You have time. Everyone is on their own timeline.
If you're pregnant and are 35 years of age or older, then in the medical world, your pregnancy gets the unfortunate title of geriatric pregnancy. And guess what else? If you're not yet 35, but will be 35 by the time of your due date, you also get this less than flattering title. Another term we can use, and one I prefer, is AMA. Stands for Advanced Maternal Age. And let's all agree to just tweak the meaning slightly. And let's think of advanced as meaning more advanced in life. You're more experienced, you're wiser, and you may feel more secure or established with your relationships or your career. When we think of it from that perspective, now all of a sudden, it doesn't sound so bad. I hope this helped.
Do you not eat anything at all? So we do eat. We eat all the time. I'm eating right now through my feet. You see my feet right now in the grass? I'm eating right now through my feet. My friend, you are whole and complete. I'm eating right now through my skin. Blessings, the body we're in. I'm eating right now through my nose. Right? Don't you suppose? I'm eating right now through my eyes. When I look at the sun in the sky, I am eating right now through my eyes. I'm eating right now through my breath. I'm eating right now, I confess. I'm eating right now through the trees, the magnificent leaves. They help us to breathe. I'm eating right now. Woo! Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Can these people really survive off just sunlight? A breatharian is someone who believes that you can go without eating or drinking water, and that the sun is providing all the free energy you need. Oh boy! Sunlight is made of particles called photons, and they are packets of energy. They make up the electromagnetic spectrum. Things like X-rays and radio waves. The sun emits this entire spectrum. And it's a lot of energy, but that's it. The reason sunlight provides things like vitamin D, for example, is because of the reaction of the UV portion of the spectrum and how it's interacting with what's already in your body. Your body makes vitamin D off 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is already in your skin. The sun is just the energy helping that conversion happen. As far as plants go, there are a few reasons why they can survive off sunlight. For starters, it's not exclusively sunlight. Photosynthesis is a process where plants take carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil. The sun's radiation is just the energy to drive that reaction. It's like baking bread. bread. If you don't apply the heat energy, then the bread doesn't rise. If you don't have the ingredients, it's just a hot, empty oven. Most breatharians, if they don't eat or drink water, usually die of dehydration. There was a 60 Minutes episode where one woman tried to prove that she was doing it until her kidneys failed, and she said it was because the smog was preventing her from accessing sunlight. This couple claimed to have been doing it since 2008. She even did it through her pregnancy. Look, I get that eggs are expensive right now, but you need water.
What is breatharianism? Well, it's very complicated yet very simple because there's different layers and nuances to it. Breatharianism in general is a philosophy of having a breatharian diet and believing that air is your food. And this means that if you derive your energy from the air because you eat the air, therefore you do not need food or water. So most people who consume a breatharian diet do not eat food and do not drink water, allegedly. I say allegedly because in most cases, people cannot live that long without food. Sometimes it's even as little as a few days. For most people, it's around 10 days that you can live without food, and in only rare cases can you live more than a few weeks before you pass away from it. It being starvation. Also, I forgot to mention, it's not just living on the air, but it's also living from the energy of the sunlight. And when it comes to water, you can only live for anywhere from 3 to 6 days without water. Not a lot of people supposedly have tried out the breatharian diet, but the people who have suffered consequences, and people have, of course, died because you are basically starving yourself from your intention being that you're only getting food or energy from air and the sunlight. That's why very notable breatharian diet based people, like people who preach about breatharianism, very notable people in that field, if you may, have come out. It's come out that they've eaten food and that they sneak food in when people are asleep or when people are off doing other things. The earliest known origins of breatharianism come from Hindu texts of saints and hermits practicing this. There are also some more notable accounts of this in Jainism and in Taoism. Some people allowed for breatharianism to be more well-known, in a sense, in the 90s and the 80s, 90s era. And one of these people is named Jasmine. That's what she renamed herself as. She was born Ellen Grieve. There are people who believed in what she was preaching and what she was teaching and, again, passed away because of trying to practice the breatharian diet. And a lot of people, in general, when they try out this diet, either cave in or pass away because there's a lot of claims that, again, it's impossible to go super long periods of time fasting and to have it not affect you in a sense of kidney failure or death.
My friends, thanks for watching all this way. But there is something I must say first about these things that you have just seen, this religion here. Good vibes. So, if you're in a place where there is food, kindly take time and consume that food. Because there is also other places in this world, my friend, where people are unable to access anything to eat. You see? And there people are starving and up to an arriving point. So good vibes. So, if you get the chance, don't insult the word. Eat if you can. Now this breatharian diet. Do you understand how it is possible to feed on sunlight? See, that is some unbelievable stuff. I didn't know English people you have also such type of practices. You see? Anyway, let's continue watching and hit that like button. This is very weird times we are living in. My friend, you have something to say about this one. Yeah. Yeah, my friends here are asking why do you call this Brazilian diet being diet and you are not eating, you see? Or maybe they are saying they are eating through the legs, the skin. How? 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 I can't comprehend. You please, my friend watching, if you can comprehend how these guys are eating, how is it a diet? What does the diet consume of? You see? What is Please leave your comments and let's continue watching.
So, believe it or not, for the first time in modern American history, more young men than women identify as religious. But what's interesting is that this is happening at the same time that we're seeing a political shift to the right. In fact, the number of young men who identify as Republicans has outpaced the number of young men who identify as Democrats for the first time in a decade.
I was on the steps of the Florida State Capitol, advocating for climate activism, the Green New Deal, all that stuff.
And then now?
I'm a staunch conservative.
But what does that mean politically and socially? For some pastors, it looks like this.
What we're seeing in this erosion where now anyone can be a family. Two men can be a family and they can adopt kids, which I think is problematic. Two women could be a family, they can adopt kids. Marriage doesn't mean anything anymore.
What threat is that to you if those two men love each other?
Because you can point statistically to our society being eroded from within because two men automatically create an unstable household because that is not God's design for a family.
And you think that hurts America?
Absolutely.
Which also extends to policy issues.
Well, I think wokeness, is really anything that comes against God's design. It's this progressive mentality. Wokeness is like DEI. Wokeness is...
And you think that's against God?
Yes,
DEI.
100%.
How so?
Well, I mean, it is everything it claims to be against. DEI is discriminatory. It is racist. DEI says, what's your skin color and who do you sleep with? You're getting to the front of the line.
Can I push back on that?
Please.
My interpretation of DEI and affirmative action is essentially saying, not that you must promote me because I'm black, but you are not allowed to discriminate against me.
But that's already a part of our Constitution and already a part of our laws. DEI has been used to push people to the front of the line who don't belong there.
If someone calls some points and says that's a DEI hire,
I think that's wrong too.
do you think they're pointing at you or do you think they're pointing at me?
I don't know. I'll tell you what though, I think it's wrong to make a snap judgment. Like, that is not godly.
Because it assumes that the only people who can have good things are straight white men.
Exactly. And that's a problem.
Are the young men who support LGBTQ rights or believe in DEI, are they welcome here?
They're welcome. They might not want to come back.
But get this, all of this is happening as young women are moving further left. 61% of Gen Z women identify as feminist, and 2/3 say the church doesn't treat men and women equally. So what does all this mean for the growing gender divide? Well, we'll have to wait and see to find out.
There is a black pastor by the name of Jamal Bryant that made a comment that the black church, and I guess he's talking about the black church in America, is 80% women. And he was talking about how men just aren't showing up in the church. Now, he said it's because the way the church is not really reaching the black men's needs, He even made a comment that in Islam, the church is attended by 80% black men. And I'm just like, I feel like he's intentionally leaving out a really, really important factor here. Black men ain't fucking with the church. Black men ain't fucking with the church. I used to go to church and I used to see how the pastors would always play on our emotions as women. And I say our emotions as women because before I became emotionally logical, I was operating totally in emotion. And so you had all these women would be in church, flying their hands, crying and weeping, and their men would be sitting there looking at them like, is she serious? Like, it's not that serious. Like, oh my God, she's like literally crying and Men aren't, you're not manipulating them emotionally, and that's what they're doing in the church. So men today are not going to church because they see the manipulation. And I have 3 older brothers. One took his whole family out of church, and it wasn't even a black church. I have my other 2 brothers, they're just not going. You're not doing it. It's a manipulation.
80% of black men don't attend church. Let's talk about it, because real men, and this ain't just for black men, but real men who attend church, who want to get to know God, who fear God, who love God, who want to grow and get a relationship with him, they will not play with God. So when they go to these churches and they have this experience and what they see in the pulpit is pimp, player, manipulator, they're going to check out. And then they're going to wonder why you still attend that church. So I attended this ministry not by choice. I had to go. I would say I was on assignment from the Lord. I didn't want to be there because I recognized what was in the person that was preaching. When I got there, I noticed that there were a lot of married women there, but their husbands rarely came. And so I had got acquainted with this one particular female, and her husband would show up every now and again, only when either she would preach or a different person would be preaching. And we had a conversation about it, and I had to tell her, like, your husband, it ain't about y'all marriage. It ain't that he don't want to get closer to God. It's that he see what's here and he can't get down with that. And she didn't want to hear that. But other women going through the same things. We pray for these husbands show up and they recognize what was in the head pastor and they would leave. So men can recognize what's in other men, and men who are trying to get closer to Christ are not about to let deceivers run their life. Once they recognize that this person is running game, they're not about to stay there and get played. Some people in the church, however, they will allow themselves to fall under pastors like who trying to turn the church into a weed factory, who say close the doors, who got a first gentleman. These are the type of people who are easily manipulated, but real men who love God, they're not going to play with it.
The US car market is so cooked. One of the biggest streamers in the world, Speed, is in China right now, and somehow he got access to all the crazy Chinese EVs that we've been talking about all year. And now it kind of makes more sense why we're not allowed to have them in America. We're talking flying cars, bunny hopping cars, and even a truck that can drive on water like a boat. Speed was able to test drive some of BYD's craziest cars. First off is their electric supercar, the Yangwang U9. This thing has over 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, and has a top speed of 250 miles per hour. But Speed was definitely way more impressed with the car's ability to leap off the ground. He found a button that literally made the car hurtle into the air multiple inches from a standstill. The car's suspension also gives it the ability to dance with the music you're playing, and you can even make it rock with the motion of your phone. After that, he was already taking out his wallet trying to buy one of these things, but it got even crazier when he drove the Yangwang U8 SUV. This truck can literally double as a boat. The guys at BYD loaded up this truck with 5 dudes, including Speed, and drove it into the middle of a lake. He drove it into the water like some crazy James Bond vehicle, and then ferried them around the water like some kind of pontoon. By the end of that demonstration, Speed was practically begging to buy one of them. In that same day, he also became the first ever public person to drive a flying car. This one is from Ehang, and it's a real-life passenger vehicle meant to fly you around cities. He got in and only let them fly it straight up and straight down, but the entire process was completely autonomous and actually looked pretty comfortable. It's safe to say that this Chinese tech and these cars are blowing my mind.
Do cows exist in the wild? Like, is there some part of the world where you can just be walking along in the woods and find a pack of wild cows living their lives? I think this is a fascinating question, specifically because of how few people know the answer. I mean, this is something that a 5-year-old could ask. But I bet of the adults watching this video, not 5% know the answer. Even though almost everyone watching this video from the United States uses or consumes something from this animal. And I'm going to tell you the answer in a moment, but I would love to know in the comments if you knew going in where these things came from. Because believing that these things only exist on cattle ranches sounds like the most clueless suburbanite idea ever. But it's true. There's no wild version of the cow, not anymore. Something like 10,000 years ago, we started domesticating a different animal called an auroch, which is now extinct. The last one of those died about 400 years ago, partially because they were hunted to extinction by us because we loved their horns. They were valuable hunting trophies. Meanwhile, the ones we started breeding for milk and meat, there's 1.6 billion of them, and pretty much all of them exist only for that. So if you see a cow in the wild, somebody's probably looking for it.
Every day, when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, when we go from waking to dream to deep sleep, the consciousness is the same. See, the world has changed. The waking world disappears and the dream world comes. A dream body comes. Remember, The body which you have in the dream is different from the body of the waking world. Why? Because the waking world body is lying on the bed. But in the dream body, you are doing so many things. It's a false body, no doubt. But your experience is that you have a body there in that world. So, consciousness is apart from the waking world and the waking body. Consciousness is apart from the dream world and the dream body. And consciousness is apart from the deep sleep blankness. It is in and through all of them. The states are coming and going, and the ego associated with each state is coming and going, but the consciousness is illumining all of them. The correct way to show this diagram would be, the fourth one is not here, but the fourth one is here, Turiyam or Turiya. It illumines the waker, illumines the dreamer, illumines the sleeper, and this is the only reality, and this is the answer to who am I. The question is, what are you or what am I apart from this waking state, apart from the dream state, apart from deep sleep, apart from the physical world of the waking state, apart from the mental imagination of the dream state, and apart from the blankness of the deep sleep state. One of our Swamis used to give this example. Station master sitting on the station, maybe in Kanpur, and first Rajdhani Express comes on the platform number 1 or something. Rajdhani Express comes. So very important train, lot of people are getting in and getting out, so much of rush is there, so much activity. The station master watches. Then he gives a signal, the Rajdhani Express goes away, but the station master does not go away with the Rajdhani Express. He is watching. Then another train comes, maybe a goods train. No activity, smoky, not many people, and very few people, 1 or 2 people may be there. It comes and stops for some time. Station master is watching. He gives the signal, the goods train goes away. But the station master has not gone with the goods train. He is on the platform watching. Next, what happens? No train is there. It's a blank platform. The blankness is there. The station master is watching the blankness. Now, this is exactly what is happening. You, the pure consciousness, you watch the arrival of the waking state, just like Rajdhani Express. So many hopes and aspirations and success and failure and problems, all of it comes with the body and with the world, and you are watching. Only thing is, you get identified with the mind in the waking state and say, I am Mr. So-and-so and this is my reality. These are my problems, these are my hopes, success and failure, these are my goals. After some time that disappears.